I just say Commissioner Gore's on one we're waiting on. All right, Chambers County Commissioners Court will come to order. This is Tuesday, the 25th day of August, and it's definitely 2020. It's been that year. 9:30 a.m. County Courtroom, Anahuac, Texas. It's now 9:38 a.m. If you'll all rise, Corey Taylor is going to lead us in prayer for the safety of all those from the hurricane.
Lord, we just come now, and as the judge mentioned, we do just lift up everyone, not just in Chambers County, but everybody that is in the path of Hurricane Laura. We do pray for safety for those that are evacuating, for traveling safety, and for those that are staying for safety as well, Father. We pray for our workers and for EMS and for all those that have to be involved in the during the storm, that you just keep them safe. And Father, just pray for cool minds and just relief from anxiety as this thing as it approaches. And Father, I just pray that as we go through our court today, that you just help each of us remember you as directing our paths, and just help us to make good decisions for Chambers County. We pray these things in Jesus' name.
Amen. Let's in the pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you.
Oh, Scott just.
All right, Mr. Peel's joining us.
Joined by video, so he's whenever he can.
First thing I want to do is give you a storm update. Tropical Storm Marco, virtually no impact to the county. That's the good news. Tropical Storm Laura, and you do realize that's my wife's name, so at least not Laura, it's just Laura. There'll be a Hurricane Cat 1 after lunch today. Hurricane Laura is predicted to Cat 3 at landfall Wednesday at 8 p.m. Track is still near the Texas-Louisiana border. 60 mile an hour winds, 6-foot storm surge, and 4 inches of rain as of right now is what it is expected for Chambers County. So we have to be ready. We have to be diligent. We're working. The OC is activated as of yesterday, and we're working hard trying to make sure that everyone stays safe through the storm. All right, we're going to go. I know I'm sure we have a lot of folks on under Road and Bridge. And so we're going to go to 3.3, discuss, consider memorandum of understanding between Chambers County. Somebody's.
I think that was Gary.
Okay, Gary muted, so we're good. Memorandum of understanding between Chambers County and TGS Cedarport partners regarding operational procedures for the future development of Fisher Road and permitting inside Cedarport Industrial. So we have 243 citizens' comments. I really appreciate you folks taking the time to send in a written comment. I will tell you that our public participation form allows for 6 people to speak or have their comments read on one item. That's so we don't have all day here to listen to everyone. And if you had 2,000 comments, we definitely wouldn't. So we're going to make note. We've sent all of the comments to all of the commissioners in their hand before they vote on 3.3 today. What we did, we took the first 6 comments that were submitted Lauren's about to read them into the record. And again, I'll say there's those 6 plus 237 more public comments that are against giving up ownership of Fisher Road. So Lauren, if you'll read those 6, please.
Okay, the first one is from Michael Gary. He is against Fisher Road sale. Please do not endanger the local community by turning FM 3180 into an 18-wheeler cut-through. Highway 99 is already in place and designed for this purpose. An alternate route just to avoid a hole puts lives in danger. It will turn into another Highway 146, one of the most dangerous roads in the county. The second one is from Terry Denton. She is against the sale of Fisher Road to TGS. I'm already concerned about the amount of heavy traffic in and around our community, especially from heavy construction vehicles. TGS does not care about our community, and this company should not be allowed to own one of our county's roads. The third one is from Charles Robertson. He's against the TGS proposal to take over ownership. My wife and I have lived in North Point on Trinity Bay Subdivision for nearly 25 years. We have watched with alarm as TGS development has expanded in our area and come closer and closer to our neighborhood. However, we have enjoyed the fact that our access to the neighborhood has largely been improved due to the Texas 99 expansion and has remained toll-free. However, if TGS is allowed to take ownership of Fisher Road, our main access, it cut off. I can't read the rest of it. Okay. The fourth one is from Neil Ligertwood. He's against the sale of Fisher Road to TGS Cedarport. I'm against this. I have been living here for 4 years now and have experienced the constant approach of TGS Cedarport into with excessive poor road conditions, dust, broken windshield from debris, construction joint point at Highway 99. Having ownership of this small piece of road, we remain to have a word of decision of what is done about it. If ownership should change to TGS Cedarport, the business and development will take over. The fifth one is from Charlene Nelson. She is against the sale of Fisher Road to TGS. I have been living here for 4 years now and have experienced the constant approach of TGS Cedarport into excessive poor road conditions, dust, broken windshield, and debris at Highway 99. Having ownership of this small piece of Fisher Road, we remain to have a word in decisions of what should be done. If ownership should change, their business and development will take over. The sixth comment is from Mike and Phyllis Bricker. They are against the sale of TGS Fisher Road, and it's just a simple, they are against this issue.
Again, thank you all for taking time to make your comments. We certainly want to hear from you on this issue as well as others. And I will tell you, as far as I can remember, working with Commissioner Combs and Court Taylor, the county engineer, there was never an option to allow all of Fisher Road to become a load limit where trucks could travel from 2354 back and forth up Fisher Road. All right, so Corey, would you share with us the most recent proposal from CCID 1?
Judge, before you go there, do we have any comments that support what are they all against?
No, they're all against, Gary.
Okay, all right.
All 243 were basically the same comments against giving ownership of Fisher Road.
I just thought if there was one or two supporting their deal, I thought we could read that in the record.
If there were one or two supporting, I would have read them. Go ahead, Mr. Bill.
Okay.
I was going to say, by our policy, it is our desire and intent to split up those members equally who are for and against. So if there were at least 3 that we recognized that were for a proposal, those would have been included by our policy. And thank you for pointing it out, Commissioner.
Absolutely. All right, Corey.
Okay, and just before I start with the proposal, I'd just like to say I took several calls from friends that called me during the weekend, and their comments were
We lost sound.
There we go.
So can you hear me?
Yeah, start over again.
Okay, so.
Yeah, Corey needs to start over, Judge.
Okay, so, this weekend, I received several calls, similar to the comments from friends, had my number, and just discussing their concerns. And as I discussed with each of them, like the judge said earlier, it's never been our intent to give control so that traffic, can get over to 2354 and 3080. Throughout my career, we've been trying to limit the exposure of large trucks mixing with the car traffic as much as possible. In addition, like I told them and expressed, a couple of times, is that we already have a green space requirement in our current regulations that would require a green space between industry and residential. Obviously, everything's expanding, but we have those same concerns that the general public does, and that's what we were trying to work towards this whole time. So with that, let me get to. So we got an email from James with TGS last night with an updated proposal. I hope this meets everyone's approval, as we discussed earlier today. I think this is a good compromise. Look forward to working with the county and the city on the second phase of this agreement. Thank you all for your time working through this. And so, getting to the points of was changed for this first agreement on Fisher Road. Number one, the county would maintain ownership of Fisher Road and all of the right of way. The county would maintain maintenance of Fisher Road. CCID 1 only improve the first 1,400 feet from Cedar Court Parkway. Full build out being 5 lanes with center turn lanes and 10-foot shoulders. He didn't say it, but it would be concrete and it would exceed our standards. Leave the remaining 6,800 feet of Fisher Road to 2354 as it is, and be weight restricted under this agreement. So hence, it would remain at 10,000 pound loading, which means that large trucks and semis could not travel on there and they could not get to 2354 legally.
Legally, I think it's.
Agree in this agreement, number 5, agree in this agreement to state the county criteria for development that defines the 50-foot green space. So currently they're acknowledging that we have a 50-foot green space current, and they are acknowledging that and would maintain that at a minimum around all the residential areas. Agree to build a water line to Beach City Fire Department as part of the development of the first 1,400 feet of Fisher Road. Number 7, agree to road improvements per TxDOT county standards. In other words, we would develop standards that we would give them, and everything would have to be done to those standards, period. Curb cuts to be installed per TxDOT standard, minimum ever 425. So curb cut being a driveway. So they could have driveways no closer than 125 feet along the stretch. All utilities installed in Fisher Road right of way per Chambers County, City of Baytown criteria.
Water, sewer. Water
and sewer, yes. Thank you. Okay, and then the second part of the agreement is something that working towards, so their acknowledgement that improvement of all Fisher Road, excluding the last 1,000 feet. So in other words, in the future, they would like to continue to improve Fisher Road, but regardless, down the road, the last 1,000 feet would never be done, which would also keep it load zoned at 10,000 pounds so that no trucks could travel to 2354 through that 1,000 foot stretch. Better define and expand on the green space along 2354 for Cedar Court land tracks north and south of Fisher Road. So acknowledging that they own up to 2354 on large portions of their area, and without further agreement could actually access 2354 TxDOT driveway access points. But we're trying to work towards having better green space and working towards limiting that. And as the comments, we would prefer all the traffic to use 99 for all their truck traffic. Ideas of green space are a landscape berm to block sound and visual aspects like trees, development, a wet bottom detention pond with landscaping and hike and bike trails. TGS will engage a landscape architect firm to prepare preliminary design drawings and engage our drainage engineers on the detention layout as part of the green space agreement. So that ends their updates. And I think that everything is moving in a good direction. I think they have a good understanding of the concerns from the citizens. Excuse me, from our meetings. And I think things are moving in the right direction. Some details to work out, obviously, moving towards this. But I think in general, we can approve in principle with the understanding that these details still need to be worked out.
I got a quick question for you, Corey. Let me make sure I'm clear. If we don't have some kind of agreement on Fisher Road to allow the trucks to go there and go to 99, they could go east from their property on the 2354 with truck traffic.
Yes, Judge, that's correct. So they own up to 2354, both north and south of Fisher Road. So even if without an agreement on Fisher Road, they could simply apply for driveway permits with TxDOT and utilize 2354 and 3180 and not pay a toll. And we would have absolutely no control over that. So that's why this is so important for us to find a win-win solution to try to do essentially whatever, the general public was talking about there, that, trying to find a win-win to where we can push traffic to 99 and you improve Fisher Road on the end of it to where they can utilize that and go back to 99 and keep them off of 2354.
So your win-win keeps trucks off of the roadway with the those trucks, TGS trucks off the roadway with the residential on 2354, 3180. Those concerns all came up, bus, those kind of things, leaves them on Fisher Road and 99.
Yes, ultimately, we're trying to get the truck traffic off of 2354 and trying to keep the green space over there to just improve the environment, the residential environment that's been there for years as much as possible.
Hey, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Judge.
Billy, Jimmy, I'm sorry. Commissioner Gore.
Two things, Judge. In that deal, when Corey was reading it, it didn't say that we're not going to hit 2354. It said they would prefer. So, that's not saying they're not going to get this agreement and then later on come on and do it anyway.
No, that needs to be part of the agreement when we file.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it said would prefer. And then two, are they going to hold a bond on this road? If we're maintaining that road with a heavy haul, are they going to bond to take care of that? Because it could get costly. It could get costly for the taxpayers to maintain that road. We're not in the concrete business. What I'm getting to, we'd have to hire a contractor to come in there and repair it.
Yeah, Corey will answer that.
So some of the details we need to work out in their original agreement. They were going to build it and maintain it with a revisionary clause. If they didn't do it correctly, we could step in and do it and bill them. That portion is still in there, but right now they have it to where we would maintain it. So I think that's one of the details that we need to work out before finalizing.
Well, we own it, maintain it. Maybe they need to say we maintain it, they reimburse us.
Yeah.
For the improvement. Yeah, yes, sir. Was it Billy, Commissioner Combs, or Ty? I think Tyson first. Commissioner Tyson.
Main thing, Judge, is that we maintain ownership of Fisher Road, but having a working relationship to keep knowing that the citizens, as well as we all know, is minimizing all the traffic on 2354 and 3180 is everybody's biggest concern in mine. And that if I'm not reading this correctly on this new memorandum of understanding, this as a starting pathway of look at something that looks like it could work.
Commissioner Tice, I'd like, just second what you're saying. And that was my conversations I had this weekend is just, just a reminder to the people that I spoke to that, 3 of the commissioners live on the west side. I live on the west side. All of our, most of our friends are in the area. I mean, obviously we're wanting to keep these people safe. We have the same concerns as the citizens.
Absolutely. All right, Commissioner Jones.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Judge. First thing, I want to make sure I correct something that Commissioner Gore just said. The road will not be heavy haul. It would be improved to the 80,000 pound payload, but a lot of people watching today, I want to make sure everybody understands it is not heavy haul. So another thing, I want to make sure I thank all of the residents, 243 that sent in their comments. I think another 243 contacted me since last Thursday.
Probably so.
I'll second that, Billy. I think about something that came my way.
Yeah, and I think it proves one thing right now, that everyone is united in one thing here, and that's to try to keep a little bit of peace and tranquility, for the residents, and trying to separate some of the traffic between the trucks and the residential traffic. Like Corey, and the judge has pointed out, it is a balancing act because we do have 2354, which we do not have any legal control over on curb cuts. And what the county does own is Fisher Road. So there has to be some kind of a compromise. We all want the same end goal, and that is to keep as much separation between the industrial and the residential, and the industrial traffic and the residential traffic. It is a balancing act, and I want to thank TGS and James Scott for taking countless hours over the last week or so working with us on this. It's been a lot of time. We are moving in the right direction. We definitely are. There's some things out that we want to get finalized and worked up. The 50-foot separation that Corey referred to, one thing I want to point out that's very, very important, it's not just a 50-foot green belt, it also includes a sound and sight barrier. And, that's a little vague at this time as to what it's going to look like. So that's things we're working out with TGS. And naturally, they want to utilize as much of their real estate as they can. They do have to put detention, and we've talked about some different wet bottom ponds and stuff to go around the side, some hike and bike trails, some walking trails, possibilities of some joint ventures between TGS and the county and doing some park space. We want this to look good. The only thing we can legally enforce are our subdivision ordinances, and that sight and sound barrier could be a concrete wall. We don't really want that. We want something natural looking. So I think it's important that we keep the lines of communication going. What's before us right now is really to agree to this first phase, the 1,400 feet, and work out the other issues over time. I want the citizens to know that we have engaged the city of Beach City, Mayor Lassiter and your mayor-elect, Ryan Dagley, were included in our meetings yesterday and will continue to be included in our meetings. So we will be open and work with the residents and keep an open line of communication. So I agree with Corey that we should accept this in principle and work out some more details and bring it back for formal approval. I talked to Nathan Brandemeyer earlier this morning, our attorney. He is on standby if we need him, but he has not had a chance to review this. There's a couple of things that has to be worked out on the permitting portion of this that's also included. So I'm all for agreeing to it in principle, and keeping in mind that what we're really agreeing to, this first segment of it, 1,400 feet, in exchange for getting the water line and acknowledging our green belt. But before we can go any further on that, there's lots of other details that we've got to work out. I believe James Scott realizes that, And so that would be my motion, Judge, to approve it in principle and bring it back for final approval at a next court meeting.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that, Your Honor.
Motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Tice. Lauren got James Scott on the phone if anyone has any questions. If you don't, we'll go ahead and vote on it to approve in principle. And then we will continue to negotiate the details between now and next court.
Judge, I got a question on it. You didn't really describe that 50 feet green space. Is that along Fisher Road?
No.
It's on 2354?
Go ahead, Gary.
So it's any location that borders residential. So, and like I said, this actually credit goes to Billy. I worked with him on the changes to the subdivision regs last year. His emphasis was, we need this green space ordinance or provision in the manual for this purpose. And it's any place that it borders residential, where you go from industrial to residential. So along Fisher Road, it would be when they get up to those like 5 houses or whatever, there would have to be it to the side.
On the south side, it has to go around it.
Yes, going around them. And then also anytime, even if a roadway like 2354 is in place and residential's on the other side of it, you still need the green space there. So it would be up and down 2354 and around those residential houses on Fisher Road.
I've seen some really nice green spaces where they dug it out for detention, put earthen earthen walls up and made it, like Billy said, walking trails, and really made it nice amenities to communities. All right, so
But the only thing, Judge, 50 feet's not very wide. That kind of limits a lot of what your ability to do much. That's
no,
pretty-
I understand. And that's our regulations. Hopefully we can negotiate a little 50 foot. At least I think we'll try to do that.
Yes, and that was our discussion yesterday, and that's the reason part 2 was written the way it was, Gary, was that our intent, and Beach City would like a larger stretch. 50 foot is a minimum of what we decided in the regulations, but we would like to negotiate to something nicer than that.
Well, this thing, I didn't get this till about probably 10 minutes before Commissioner's Court started. So this is basically brand new. And we had 200 and something comments saying that, of course, some of them are confused about, what we're actually really doing, but not giving them the opportunity to at least look at this new proposal. Approving it.
We're not approving anything officially. We're approving in principle. It's got to come back to court. They'll have 2 weeks to, Billy can send it out to them. They'll have 2 weeks to review it.
I think they need to have an opportunity.
Yeah, they will have, because
Somebody else needs to have an opportunity to look at this we've got proposed in front of us
well, they will.
with the potential
Now-
changes.
But
No, I agree.
if we're still negotiating on it, when y'all get the final deal, it needs to be sent out for they can get it before we approve it. I think that's what Gary's getting to.
No, I agree. It's still negotiating to do it. And I'm sure Billy will send it out to his folks there to let them look at it, especially the city, because they've been involved and will continue to be involved, like Billy said. All right, we need to move on. I got a 10:30 weather call. So,
Hey, Judge, I would be
Sure.
okay with just a table if that would be, if we wanted just to do a table and continue.
Yeah,
working.
if it doesn't confuse the people to where they're thinking this is a
Done
motion
deal.
passed a second.
all right, okay. Let me back up. Billy, you made the motion. Do you want to pull your motion? Wait, Billy, do you want to pull your motion?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay, so we'll leave it in as approving principle.
What about you? What about Mark's second?
Second.
No. I say, do you want to pull your second?
Mark, are you okay with your standing second to approve this in principle?
I'm good of us knowing that this is a memorandum of understanding. It's a working document in place. Am I correct, Judge?
Yes.
And
Well,
that's
Judge,
my second.
the only comment I'm gonna make is we had some confusion over something else we did on the agenda a while back. Big ruckus, and I kind of regretted that we did what we did at that time. And I don't want to make an understanding that I'm voting on something that we're already basically agreeing to, and without at least giving the public an opportunity to look at these additional changes that had just been made.
Judge, I withdraw my motion.
If that'll make everybody.
All right,
laugh.
we're gonna withdraw the motion in second. We're going to table for next court.
Thank you, Judge.
Everybody good with that?
That's good with that.
Thank
That
you.
way we'll have it all done. So the second agreement can be addressed and agreed in principle can be done. We can do it all when it's complete. I'm good
Okay,
with that.
we're gonna move on. I've got at 10:30, I might have to go get on National Weather Service call, and Gary's gonna have to take over, and I know he doesn't want to have to do this tough stuff. So. All right, we're going to citizens' comments. We're gonna go back to citizens' comments, take the rest of them. Lauren.
Public hearing at 10.
Okay, so. Okay, there's 6 that are regarding the 8% tax.
I have a citizen comment on there as well.
Will you have one?
I do.
Like personally?
Yours personal?
It's mine. Yeah.
Well, just wait till we get to the item. Oh, we don't have an item. Go ahead, Commissioner Gore, make your citizen comment. You got to fill out a form, send it in.
I did. I hadn't filled it out, but I spoke with everybody.
Go ahead.
Okay. The resolution we passed on the 8% tax, I think it created a firestorm. I think that's what Gary was referring to earlier. I am not only a taxpayer, but a small business person, but I'm also the county commissioner that represents the taxpayers. I'm not for any tax increase. I mean, I think that everybody's been in enough stuff with the pandemic going on, with businesses closing down and that. I mean, for me, I mean, I would take my vote back on that resolution. And theoretically, when we set the tax rate today, I think we're looking at maybe making a motion to do that. I know we have a public hearing on September the 8th to have a public comments on the tax rate and then adopt it after that, I think. But I mean, if that is not the case, if we set the tax rate today, it should kill that resolution. But if that's not the fact of it, and it's confusing to people, I would request that it be put back on the agenda for everybody to vote on again to rescind it. I mean, I would do that. But I just want everybody to know that our best interest is this for the taxpayers, and regret any confusion that's out there. So, but that's my comment, Judge.
Okay, and I appreciate that. And yeah, a lot of confusion was the way it was put out there, that it looked like we were raising taxes. Actually, we're going to be considered lowering taxes.
Yes, sir.
Right. All right, Lauren.
Okay, the first one is from Rachel Heisler and Darlene Pearson.
You go ahead.
Okay.
That's a separate one then. Okay.
So this is regarding the 8% tax increase. We, the people, cannot bear the load of more property taxes. Not only do we want to limit property tax increases, we want to we already pay and limit the ability of the county appraisal district to value our property in such a way that we can no longer afford our property tax bills. We ask the commissioners to find other ways to fund emergencies or necessary county expenses, such as cutting back on tax abatements and salaries and personnel expenses. We request a moratorium on the upper level salary increases for 2 years. Second one's from Victoria Reyes. She is against raising the property taxes overall, but especially at a time like this or during a natural disaster. People are struggling due to COVID-19, and to add struggle, we have hurricane season to worry about. We should not have to also add the pain and suffering of current situation of tax increase. We, the citizens, are asking for the motion to be rescinded at the next Commissioners Court meeting. I understand that you all have no intention of raising taxes. So in order for us to have that assurance, we are demanding the option is taken off the table. We should not while we are struggling during COVID, and especially not during a natural disaster. God forbid that one happens again. I demand that the Commissioners Court rescind the resolution they passed that allows them to raise our property taxes up to 8% without a vote of the taxpayers. Adopt a no new revenue rate.
Atlanta.
Go ahead.
Jocelyn Durant, although the state of Texas has been declared a state of emergency in the wake of COVID-19, I don't see how this would benefit Chambers County. We already had a significant property tax value increase this year. There is no indication to need to increase the property taxes as well. It is unclear that there is a fund shortage in the budget or extensive need to raise additional. The large abatements approved for the large businesses in the area, which would be much better equipped to help in this regard than the citizens who have experienced loss of job, reduction of hours and pay, or even been furloughed because of COVID. Additionally, if you felt this was needed or you needed to have the ability to raise taxes for emergency needs, that should have been voted on by the constituents and not in a small group. Rick Harlow, public comment. I, Rick Harlow, demand the Commissioners Court rescind the resolution they passed that allows them to raise our property taxes up to 8% without a vote of the taxpayers, and that the county must adopt a no new revenue rate with a 0% tax increase. Between COVID pandemic, job losses, hours being cut back, and the economy being slowed down, it is unreasonable that taxes would be increased during these trying times. This is from Ralph Oler. To all commissioners and county judge, I urge you to rescind your support for the resolution recently passed that would allow an adjustment of the effective tax rate without voter approval. While I understand that the council was worked on this advice of an independent lobby group, I do not see any situation that would justify an increase in taxes without voter input or approval. I also realize it can only be utilized in the event we are under an emergency declaration. I feel that this is the absolute worst time to cram a tax increase down the throat of constituents. This is when the people need help. Why increase their burden at that moment? This county has $100 million in the bank for a rainy day fund. If we need more money that urgently, they can access it. Then show us what you did with the money and ask for an increase to replenish the fund. The people do not need to give the county any more of our money to redistribute as they see fit. You, sirs, told us you believed in Republican and conservative values by running as Republican candidates. Did you mislead us to get votes? This resolution has only one use, and that is to circumvent the will of the people. There is not one single reason it should exist. Rescind immediately, please. The last one is from Ann McDonald. I'm against taxes being raised without my vote. Any major decision, especially involving raising taxes, should be decided by the people.
Thank you. Okay, that's all on that. Don't you have one more? Something else?
I have two.
Two more. Go ahead.
Three more.
We're going to take care of the rest of the citizens' comments.
Okay, this one is from Rachel Heisler and Darlene McPherson Pockles regarding Commissioners Court meetings. Please bring back in-person Commissioners Court meetings and allow the public to attend beginning with the September 8th meeting. We, the people, are ready for normalcy in our county and do not accept the new normal. This one is also from Rachel Heisler and Darlene McPherson Poggles regarding COVID flu report. We, the people, would like to hear how much aid in dollars the county has received from state and federal funding for COVID positive cases to date, and we would like to hear how much aid the county receives for each positive case. Additionally, we want to know how the money was spent. At some point since the shutdown, our state stats for the county showed 10 people have died of COVID. Please give the ages and if there were underlying medical conditions at the time of death. The last one is from Jennifer Arredondo regarding corruption and lack of drainage. It has been 3 years since Hurricane Harvey. Imelda happened in 2019. More flooding is coming, and the Chambers County engineer and elected commissioners still have no answers for people who are legitimately concerned about the high probability of flooding in our area again. Instead, they remain hush states, producing absolutely no evidence of any projects that have actually improved the drainage. It seems that the only property drainage that has been improved in commissioners' owned land that was sold off with tax abatement money. And And I and many other residents have had their fill of the political game in the good old boy system. For once in our lives, follow through on the prayers that you pray to God before every meeting and actually do what is best for the residents who elected you. That's all.
Okay. I want to thank all those for the comments. And if we don't respond to your comment here in this meeting, it's because it's not on our Commissioners Court agenda and we're not allowed to discuss it. I do want to remind folks that we are still in the midst of a pandemic. And all the commissioners should have received PPE from Bill. If you hadn't, you should get it today. In case we have to put folks on a bus, you'll have masks and hand sanitizers and the things you need to help keep them safe while we're transporting them. All right. Let's go to 3.1. Public hearing at 10 a.m. to discuss relocation and abandonment of right-of-way to exchange real property and right-of-way for proposed road and drainage realignment adjacent to SH 99 EW4. So at 10:18 a.m., we're going to recess out of the regular session of Commissioners Court and go into a public hearing at this time. And there were no other public comments. There were no public comments pertaining to the realignment of EW4. Is there any comments from the court during this public hearing? We're going to go right into the items. So,
Judge, I thought I did say a public comment come in yesterday.
oh, there was one from Ryan Lovell.
Well, from his
I
attorney.
think and I do need to say that if those public comments that came in after 3 o'clock, I don't remember when that one came in.
That one was actually emailed in before 3. I know it was.
I know. I'm just making a point that for everybody that's listening, 3 p.m. the day before court is the deadline to get it in. We'll find that public comment. Where is it? You got it emailed to you. We need. Okay, we'll find it. Billy, do you have it? You want to read it?
Well, I'm sure I got it, but finding something under pressure like this hard, Judge.
Okay. I understand. All right, Austin's pulling it up.
Hey, Judge,
Sure.
let me just ask a question. I see on this realignment and exchange for the right of way, are they taking over that right of way? It's going to be theirs. I mean, the road, they're going to build the road and maintain the road. I mean, I know in some of the industrial stuff where they've taken over the road, we've had issues with our sheriff department being able to regulate that stuff.
It's going to be a county road.
Okay.
They'll build it to county specs. It'll be a county road.
Okay.
And Corey said we'll control it.
Thank you, sir.
I've got that thing.
All right, Austin's going to read it. Go ahead, Austin.
Okay, Ryan Lovell with the Maryport Industrial Park, speaking on 3.1 says Maryport Industrial Park or Maryport supports item 3.1 NPH Market Street. His comment is a Maryport Industrial Park or Maryport supports item 3.1. NPH Market Street LLC or NPH is presently engaged in negotiations with SEVA Freight LLC or SEVA for the lease of 58 acres within Maryport, which will involve the construction of an 800,000 plus square foot building and related improvements. In addition to creating 50 full-time jobs and additional tax revenue for Chambers County, this project is in phase 1 of potentially 2.4 million plus square feet of new rail served warehouse space for manufacturing, packaging, and distribution. Maryport is prepared to spend more than $20 million in new infrastructure to benefit SEVA and other future tenants, surrounding landowners in Chambers County. New improvements include the extension of a Maryport Parkway, public utilities, and railroads south over the Coastal Water Authority Canal. CCID number 2 in City of Baytown, Maryport also plans to expand the public water distribution system, wastewater collection system, and stormwater facilities in preparation for new development along the Grand Parkway near the EW number 4 right-of-way. Lastly, Ameriport is committed to extending the Ameriport Parkway and constructing the portion of EW number 4 through its property to the Grand Parkway to provide increased traffic mobility in the region and with safer conditions. By relocating EW number 4 through Ameriport and timely constructing the roadway, any potential conflicts with railroad are eliminated, and TxDOT will install an overpass on the Grand Parkway to safely accommodate the anticipated growth in vehicular traffic, especially trucks. Relocating the existing right-of-way benefits everyone with safer roadway conditions, increased mobility, more development, and tax revenue at no expense to Chambers County.
Okay, so that was the citizen comment that you were talking about. Correct, Billy?
Yes, sir.
All right, so no other citizen comments. 10:23 a.m. We'll adjourn out of the public hearing, go back into regular session of Commissioners Court. 3.2, discuss and consider approving an appraisal and proposed agreement regarding relocation and abandonment of right-of-way with NPH Market Street LLC to exchange real property and right-of-way for proposed road and drainage realignment near the airport development and SH 99 EW4.
Judge, I think we already approved that back in July, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
We actually did. The contract hadn't been signed, and we backed up and had the public hearing, which you just had. Corey, is there anything you want to share?
No, I just commenting that, you know, that I've been working with the engineers with that group to ensure that it's designed according to our standards, to actually it exceeds our standards, and that, you know, the curves are all meeting and met with TxDOT and making sure everything is safe for the traveling public. And yet, and like when discussing with the commissioner, we will have control of that to ensure that it stays that way. So anyway, as discussed, it's already been approved. I just I think probably has to be ratified.
Okay.
Yes, you know, there was some, Judge, I got one quick comment on
Go
that.
ahead.
There was some discussion about the reversion clause that was in that original document. The person that donated that right away. Have we resolved that?
Yes.
That you know of?
Corey said yes. It's been resolved.
Well, I know that, you know, this was one of the things that kind of brought this whole thing up on this, I guess, changing Fisher Road, that they were concerned about the additional road that they were going to have to build because they weren't able to go straight through anymore. Has that been resolved too, or is that's still looming out there?
I feel like it's been resolved. If we can work out these agreements on Fisher Road and all the other things that are being discussed now, they've agreed not to object to the realignment. Am I speaking correctly, Billy, Corey? Y'all been on those meetings?
That's what I heard. Yes.
Well, the fact that we've already voted on it, why are we voting on it again?
I'm not saying you have to, but we did have the public hearing according to our council, outside council, put it back on the agenda. And whether you ratify it, whether you don't vote on it, it's up to you.
Well, I'm just saying it's been approved. Billy told you.
I know.
It's already been approved.
Well, it's not going to hurt anything to ratify it, so I'll make a motion that we ratify our previous approval.
I'll second.
Okay, I'll second it.
All right, motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Nelson, to ratify the previous approval for 3.2. Those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Gary, I'm going to turn it over to you. Aaron's going to sit in this chair so he can talk to you about the no new revenue tax rate, the hearing on the upcoming budget, and scheduling of the public hearing. And then we still have 3.4 on the road and bridge, Gary. All right, thank you all. If I don't get back in here, be safe, guys. If you ain't got PPE, let us know and we'll get it to you.
We're gonna have to come over to get it, Judge.
No, we'll get with Bill. I think he's gonna have somebody deliver it to you, Gary.
Okay.
holler at me afterwards. Thanks.
All right, well, we've got down, I mean, we've got some stuff up here in administration. We may as well go back to the top unless y'all want to go to 3.4. And it says discussing.
Gary, I appreciate you going to 3.4 so I could go to the hurricane conference.
Okay, well, we'll go to 3.4. Discuss and consider whether to dispose of the 1.4 acres of county property located at 1210 East Winfrey Avenue. Said property included the old courthouse, narcotics task force building, and which method of deposition we use under local government code 263, public auction, sealed bid, broker, or property exchange. The items on the table for discussion.
Commissioner, if I could start off, or my apologies, Judge. Basically, the county was approached with either the opening of negotiations or an offer. And first things first, of course, is that the Commissioner's Court, who is in charge of the real property, has to make a decision whether or not you do wish to dispose of that property at this time. So what I put in the packet for you was the relevant law under Chapter 263, as well as some of the considerations and options available. So the first thing for y'all to decide for this 1.4 acres of property that has some improvements on it is if you do in fact at this time wish to sell it, or whether you don't, whether you want to wait for a better market. I'm not saying how good or bad the market is right now, but at that point, after you make a decision to decide to dispose of it, then there are 4 means of disposition available to you, which we have gone over in prior Commissioners Court agendas over the last decade several times. As you know, you can appoint a commissioner to sell the property at a public auction. You can adopt a procedure for sale of property through the sealed bid procedure. You can contract with a real estate broker for services to list and sell the property. And then, of course, if you have somebody with actual physical real property available for exchange, you can exchange real property. And so each of those has pros and cons available to it based upon the scenario. But again, the county was approached. It wasn't that the county solicited anybody with this particular parcel. And therefore, that's why it's being brought to y'all. If y'all do wish to decide to unload this particular piece of property, that is the first decision y'all would need to make. And if, of course, you say no, then there's no need to decide which of the other options to take. So, and again, I'm also trying to avoid listing off who the interested party is at this time, because, of course, that might have ramifications later on sale as well. So, again, that was my intent for cutting Corey off, since I think he was the one that was originally approached. So.
Scott, but what about the what about an appraisal?
I'm sorry, say that again.
I said, what about an appraisal? I thought that was one of the criteria that you had to have it appraised to have a value in mind.
Well, and interestingly enough, if you went through those code sections, the only requirement for appraisals would be under B or D. So if you used the sealed bid procedure, you would have to obtain an appraisal, which of course would likely come at the county's cost, as well as an exchange of property. You would have to get an appraisal of the property as well. But if you were to go through public auction or the real estate broker for services, the statute, I don't believe, requires appraisal. But again, under the sealed bid procedure, you do have to obtain an appraisal and then come back to court to set a minimum bid. And it's kind of unclear as to whether or not you keep that minimum bid, or maybe like a bid number, to yourself, or whether you actually have to share that. So that would be something to look in further while we were seeking an appraisal if you chose that method. But again, only 2 of the 4 methods require an appraisal. But again, you're correct in remembering that we have had to get appraisals before.
Well, we've done this once before, and it's been probably, man, time flies by, 5-7 years ago. And I don't know if we didn't do a very good job of advertising or what. We didn't really get much of an offer. I mean, it's got the building on it It's not, I don't think considered historical or anything like that. But, you know, basically you're selling salt dome property is what it is. You know, the dome's underneath that property. So there's been a time when that had a pretty high number on it. So, I mean, I don't know. What's the pleasure of the court? I mean,
Gary, is that the building that's up kind of across from Hill Lumber?
yeah, it's old tax
Yeah.
office. No, not Hill Lumber. It's around there, around the corner on Winfrey, right there before you get 1 Oak, right there by 1 Oak. You know, it's used to be the tax office at one time, or the JP's office at one time, before it was a narcotics off task force deal. It's been around a long, long time, the building has.
Yeah, that's getting to be some pretty valuable land up there.
Yeah, and that's the only thing I'm saying is I think I know what the person is trying to do something with it, but I don't think it's something that we want to run off and jump off into and just get rid of it. I think it has had some value.
It does.
And so if we do consider selling it, I would think that we would want to sell it with the intent that if we don't get what we feel like is an equitable value, that we don't sell it.
Put a minimum on it.
Well, I don't know about that. If you put it out for bids or if you get a realtor to list.
Yeah, but at least know where a general idea of what we think the property value is. That way we'll know what we're getting.
Well, I know what the property went across the street, how much money it brought, and it was a lot less than an acre and a half. And if we can get anything close to that.
Use your expertise there for us.
Well, I say if we can get anything close to that, you know, what they pay for that across the street, well, then, you know, it might be something we could.
Well, and another thing to know, although obviously there's like 5 decisions here available for you today, the unspoken decision, of course, is that you can sleep on it. You don't have to make a decision today. If y'all aren't feeling the burning urge to unload this piece of property at this time, you can, of course, table it and we'll come back to it another day. There are certainly other more pressing matters going on in the world at this time. But if you did feel the desire to start the process, this was just really bringing it to your attention, letting you know what those options were, and giving you the option today of deciding which way to go.
Well, I think we had a real interested buyer that they would come at us at a price that we couldn't turn down. Otherwise, you know, it's other than mowing it, we're not, you know, we're not out a whole lot on that piece of property. So, I mean, whatever the pleasure of the court is.
I'd just soon as think about it a little bit, and I'd like to personally take a look at it and find out more about it.
Let's table
I
it till
agree.
the
Let's
next.
table it. I propose we table it, Judge.
Okay, we'll table that item to the next court and give you a chance to look at it, Billy. Okay, if you got to go, unless you got something else you want to do before you leave. Is he gone already?
That y'all gonna want from me?
Corey, you've got a couple of items on the consent agenda. Any comments on any of those before you leave?
No, sir.
All recommended for approval?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's go back up to, if he's going to leave, let's go back up to 1.1. Discuss and consider setting the proposed tax rate at the no new revenue rate and setting a public hearing for September 8, 2020 at 10 a.m.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Aaron?
Yeah, you can see in your packet the notice for the meeting to vote on the tax rate. The 2019 tax rate is 54 cents. The new tax rate or the effective tax rate is 3 cents with the voter approval rate at 57 cents. We are proposing for the tax rate to be at the 53 cents, which is the no new revenue tax rate. We're required to do one public hearing and then we can adopt it. Is there any specific questions for me?
So Aaron, it looks like from back-to-back years, we painfully lowered our tax rate just a little bit, correct?
Yes, sir. It's been kind of holding steady, about 54 cents for the past, about 4 years. And this is a penny decrease.
Well, not quite. 53.9. That's a tenth of a cent decrease.
Less than a penny.
It's just barely, but it is a decrease. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to have a hearing on September 8th at 10 a.m.
So move.
So moved, Judge.
Okay, Commissioner Gore, you made the motion,
I'll
Yes, sir.
second.
and then Commissioner Ty seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, 1.2, discuss and consider update on the 2021 county budget. Aaron?
Yes, sir. I sent an email this morning. It's just a draft summary for the 2021 budget. This court would have been the public hearing. I forgot to post the notice in the paper, so that's what the next item is going to be. But I thought I would go ahead and update y'all on the budget for 2021. This is still a summary. If y'all have that email there, just kind of quickly, you can see that the valuation has gone up 10.5%, or about $1.1 billion, with the industry right about $8 billion, and the residential local 3.5 billion. You can see the breakout between local and industry. Industry is about 69% of that, with local at 31%. Went down the memo here. Certified values, you can see that they have generally increased since 2016, with industry being the biggest. On the next page, it talks about the tax rates, and we just set the proposed tax rate at the 53 cents. If you go down, you see the kind of the projected collection rate for each of the taxes from the market, collecting about 9.1, special 673,000, the general fund 37 million. School 4.4 million, and the interest sinking our debt at 4.8. You can see it's a total increase because of the new values coming online at $5.5 million. And going down, you can see how the tax rates have changed from 2010 to like I said, since 2016, the rate, and 2017 has been around 54 cents, and then for this year we'll be at 52 cents. Well, 54 cents. No, 53. 53. The next page shows some revenues. These will adjust. I'm still waiting for some information from a couple of the departments to make sure I have those correct, like the CBA and some others. And revenue is going to change a little bit. I'm still waiting for some the new 3-to-1 schedule, so that will be adjusted to. Page 4, you can see the debt graph we made here. Currently, for 2021, we'll be at a little over $60 million and $61 million with debt. If you remember last year, we did issue some debt for the 49 bridge and for some contingency. We'll be paying about $6.6 million for 2021. And that's going to be kind of high for the next 3 years, around the 6 million mark. And then it's going to go drastically down in 2024. And then we'll be officially done paying debt in 2045. That's the current schedule for debt. Going down a little bit. So I'm sure you're all aware that we have planned no increases for next year in anyone's budgets. So I put capital for road and maintenance parks in the sheriff's office because they had budgeted capital expenditures. For instance, we try to maintain the sheriff's office fleet vehicles to make sure they're still up to standard and they're safe and things like that.
Hey, Aaron,
Yes, sir.
you say no increase, but I mean, the sheriff's office is under contract.
Exactly. So there, for personnel, there are things that we have to do for increases, like the CBA. We do a 2-year contract with them.
Okay, they wouldn't be interested in rolling that to another year, or is that something that's feasible? Since we're not giving increases to any other county employee, I mean, have we approached them about maybe taking that off this year and maybe doing it next year? Or is that feasible?
I think anything's feasible. You know, that's
I think
something
it's
we
worth it.
haven't.
It should be, you should ask them. I mean, it's worth it. You know, all they can tell us is no.
Sure.
I
Have the
think
court.
we need at least to ask, I agree.
Okay.
Scott,
So I can,
you look like you were wanting to say something.
Sir?
You're muted.
His mic, you're muted, Scott. Your mic's muted.
There you go. No, I was just agreeing with Aaron that anything is possible, and getting the, they have, of course, been amenable to changes in the last 6 months, you know, regarding the disaster policy. So hope springs eternal. It would be nice, of course, if there were no raises for anybody in the county other than, you know, the longevity year bump, I guess people would get. But other than that, if they would be on board with the remainder of the people in the county not getting a raise for 2021, that would be fabulous. But again, it would have to be agreed and voted on by them as a body. So
Is that something that we need to reach out to them, Scott? I know it's you and I and Aaron and a couple of other ones on that.
I think there was some pushback, Commissioner, the last time you and I reached out to them. I think they felt that we were trying to circumvent protocols, even though we did it in good faith. So I think we should probably just put something in writing to them, deliver it to their, you know, if Aaron thinks this is appropriate, deliver it to their spokesperson, and then let that spokesperson take it to their next scheduled meeting and go from there.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
yes,
you.
sir. I can get that started.
Aaron, I got a quick question for you.
Yes, sir.
There were several capital expenditures and stuff that we actually pulled off the table when COVID hit this year. Will they be revisited since we're staying flat on all the budgets? Would some of those capital projects be put back into the 2021 since they were not done in 2020?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's what I'm going through as well, too, commissioners, making sure that we do, if a project was postponed in 2020, that we re-budget that for 2021. And then so just keep going down here, the new employees and salary, tab here. Across the board, 0, and salary adjustments are currently 0. I haven't, we'll figure out the association's number in case, you know, if there's pushback, just to let you know the cost on that, but I'll reach out to their spokesperson to discuss that with them. There have been some requests for 2021 for new employees. And I just kind of wanted to bring that up to y'all to make a decision if that's what you guys are looking at or would like to do. So the first one's, of course, the 2021, we are getting a new court, the County Court of Law. You know, that's going to be 3 new people, the judge, the bailiff, and the their court coordinator. So we have those actually set up in the budget for 2021. There are a few other departments requesting new employees, but they're not budgeted. Besides the County Court of Law, they're requesting 1 for the tax office, for the west side of the county, and for the road and bridge department. So, you know, they have their own tax and their own fund, and this year they have a pretty large capital outlay. So something that me and maybe Corey have discussed a little bit is he probably won't have to use all that capital money for 2021. So he's requesting to kind of help with his drainage and road work, to hire 3 new truck drivers and purchase 3 new truck drivers as well, to help with not having to pull people in and out for the crews. So this is something that's been talked about, you know, something for y'all to consider if that's what you want to go with. And then the health department, currently there's I think about 3 people that are they're being paid through the grants, and those grants will run out if they're not reallocated in 2021. I think it's an epi investigator, and 2 others, I can't recall, but those would have to be either re-budgeted either in the regular general budget or the health department budget, or, you know, maybe the grant can cover that for the next period. Just kind of let y'all know about that. I think we're gonna try to work and get those budgeted for next year. And then on page 5, something also to consider that we're looking at is, we want to try to, with the disasters with Storm Imelda and Hurricane Harvey, there are some costs that the county's going to have to pay back. We're not getting any funding with Imelda. So in 2019, I think we are having to pay a little less than $2 million for that disaster. And the Hurricane Harvey is about $400,000. So, we'd like to maybe try to recoup some of that, budget that for 2021 to cover those expenses, to refund the general fund. And that's about it. That's all I have for the general summary for the budget as of right now. We'll have a public hearing when y'all for the next item to discuss it, and I'll have better numbers for the CBA and some of these personnel things that are popping up here.
Is this draft that you gave to us, is this available for the general public to view between now and the time of the hearing?
Yes, I can put this on the county website under the budgets so people can view it. And then I'll have an updated version of it, and I'll put that on there as well.
Thank you.
I didn't see
Aaron,
that.
also-
I didn't see that $100 million surplus. Where did you put it?
100 million surplus? I do not have $100 million surplus.
Okay. Well, I thought maybe you might have had it stuck somewhere. I didn't see it.
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay.
Hey, Aaron, also, is it possible to put out for the public to see, the first agreement on Fisher Road? I'm sure a lot of them are patiently, we're taking notes, but is that possible? The first agreement on Fisher Road, where the county maintains ownership of Fisher Road, county maintains maintenance of Fisher Road. Is that for transparent for the public to see?
Well, Commissioner, respectfully, I would say that it's generally, not recommended to show the different
Okay.
stages of contract negotiation because,
Since
it's going to go back and forth so many times.
Okay. No problem. I'm just trying to save 314 phone calls, Scott.
I understand.
Okay. Anything else, Aaron, on the budget?
No, sir.
All right. Well, I'll entertain a motion that, well, I don't know. We had to have a motion on that, Scott. I mean, it just says, discussion, consider update on the 2021 county budget. There's no motion there.
There's no motion.
Just FYI, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we'll move on. 1.3, discuss and consider rescheduling the public hearing on the 2021 county budget to be September 8, 2020 at 10 a.m.
Yes, sir. This is me. I did not put the notice in the paper, so to correct that, we're at today and set the public hearing for next court, the 8th at 10 o'clock.
So moved, Judge.
Well, we got two public hearings on the 8th. One with setting the tax rate and one for the rescheduling the budget.
Yes, sir.
So moved, Judge.
Second.
Who made that motion?
Jimmy.
Mark?
Jimmy.
Commissioner
Yeah,
Gore
Mark
made the
Combs.
motion. Commissioner Cone seconded.
Yes, sir.
Any other discussions?
No, sir.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank y'all for that. Okay, financial, under financial, we have 2.1, discuss and consider Commissioner Precinct 2 solid waste permit audit report. Mark, you got any comments you want to make over that report?
Gary, I didn't even hear a word you said. You broke up bad. Start all over.
I just, on 2.1, discuss
Yeah.
and consider Commissioner Precinct 2 solid waste permits audit report. Do you have any comments you'd like to make about the report, or did you get a chance to look at it?
No, sir. What we did briefly look at looked okay, but this time I don't have anything to discuss.
Yeah, well, so we want to, is there an auditor there? Is someone want to say anything about it, or we're? Aaron, you're in there. Is anybody there to discuss?
Yeah, I
it?
mean,
If no questions, I'll entertain a motion. We accept this in the record that we received the report.
so moved.
Commissioner Tice makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Go ahead.
Commissioner Gore or Commissioner Combs?
Give it to
Which
Gore.
one seconded? Combs?
Gore did.
Gore. Okay. Motion by Commissioner Tice, second by Commissioner Gore, that we accept the Precinct 2 Solid Waste Permits Audit Report. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, it's 10:53. Everybody okay? We keep moving. We'll move along if everybody's all right. Or do you need a break?
Keep rolling, Judge.
Okay. 5.1. Discuss and consider A&R Logistics, Inc. Plant Logistic, FTZ Foreign Trade Zone, Non-Objection Letter. That was a mouthful. So this item's on the table for discussion.
I think it's BJ available. You typically get BJ on the phone too.
I don't.
Aaron?
I think Aaron's getting that.
He's working
Hey,
right
I'm
now.
gonna put you on speaker, okay? Okay. I got BJ online.
Hey, BJ. Can you hear me?
The item you have before you is a request by A&R Logistics for the county to provide a letter of no objection or support letter for a subzone, a foreign trade zone subzone designation from FTZ 171. Currently A&R Logistics is operating 3 facilities in the Ameriport Industrial Park. In November of 2019, A&R Logistics purchased Logistics. Some of you may be familiar with Plant Logistics. And as part of that acquisition, they are requesting the establishment of a subzone designation for foreign trade zone for those 3 buildings. It's all part of a grand strategy so as to provide A&R Logistics with capacity to complement export operations in Houston and their operations in Charleston, South Carolina, and Savannah, Georgia. Their operations are akin, they're very similar to what the Rivago does, what KTN does. And currently there are 3 active foreign trade zones in Chambers County, the Rivago designation, the KTN designation, and Access World, which was the last one that the county approved a letter of no objection. They've received received approval from the Goose Creek School District, the Lee College, the Cedar Valley Navigation District, and CCID too as part of their application. So what you have before you is simply a letter, a draft letter of no objection that would support the foreign trade zone.
Any questions from BJ on that?
No, sir.
Okay, BJ, thanks for your report. I don't hear any questions, so I'll entertain a motion to for this no objection letter.
So moved, Judge.
Commissioner Tice makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Combs, second. Nothing else said. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, BJ. Appreciate it.
Okay.
I don't think you have anything else on the agenda. All right, going down the line here, 16.1, Library and Historical. Discuss and consider approving the contract with Brain Fuse, Inc. That's what I need. For the provision of online educational services and content design to assist students with mathematics, English, social studies, and science homework. Scott, you got anything?
Yeah. The librarian and her staff had asked that this be placed on the Commissioner's Court agenda. It's intended to be a supplemental resource for children and adult students. The annual cost is $3,300, like you pointed out, for math, English, social studies, and science. It's intended to be used in the library and outside of the library facilities through any compatible computer for participating students. And it's a student-initiated homework assistance. And so just to give you some background on it, it is a company out of New York who is providing it. There are multiple local library systems that use it currently: Nederland, Galveston, Brazoria, Fort Bend, and Houston. When I asked about whether or not, obviously, as we have seen perhaps in the news, there would be some concerns if the Commissioners Court did wish to provide this supplemental assistance to the library system, which seemed obviously like a positive idea, whether or not, school districts from different locales around the nation might be teaching different things. The response I got from that, of course, was that the tutoring services, skill building lessons, and practice tests are aligned to state-specific curriculum and Common Core standards. So it is a New York-based company providing homework assistance through, it's my understanding, pre-recorded and different types of media, as well as online live tutoring. So with all of that said, this price is based on our library's flow traffic, is my understanding, which is why the price is as it is. And all in all, it seems like a pretty good bargain on the surface and would be beneficial. And your librarian and assistant librarians have asked that this be approved.
You had a chance to review the contract and you're okay with it, right?
I did review it and there's nothing nefarious in it. So
moved, Judge.
Commissioner Gore makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I got a quick question.
Oh, wait a minute. Got to have a second. Mark, you tried a second. You had your mic off.
Yeah, I'll second that, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay, now, Billy, what's your question?
Back to Scott. When I was reading through this, I assumed that this was homework that would be assisting with the local school districts, but that's not necessarily true.
no, and actually it says the library under the section 2.2 responsibilities of the library under D, the library understands that Help Now is designed as a student-initiated homework assistance service and may not be used as part of school or class-wide mandated assignments. So my understanding is, if I understood your question correctly, and I may have gone off on a tangent here, it's intended for students to seek out the assistance in the curricula for which they need help. It is not intended to be part of any type of school learning service or assignment from any classroom in the county. So I'm not sure that answered your question, but
no, it did, Scott. Thank you very much.
okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
All right,
Did you want to oppose?
I did.
They let the record show that Commissioner Combs opposed the motion, but it passed. The motion passed. All right, law enforcement 17.1, discuss and consider approving an interlocal agreement with the Jefferson County Crime Lab for the provision of crime laboratory testing and services for criminal investigations. Is this a renewal, Scott, or
Well, actually, I'm going to ask you to table this, but to give you a little bit of background, y'all approved an interlocal agreement last summer, almost identical to this one. Unfortunately, it did stall out on their end. There were some internal issues going on. It's pretty beneficial to us at this time. A lot of the things have changed in it. But if you would notice on page 2, I had asked for, obviously it's got signature blocks for both the sheriff and the district attorney, as well as myself. I reached out to them recently. I know they're busy. I hadn't heard back from them. Therefore, at this time, because I don't have their input on this interlocal agreement, I was going to ask you to table it until I've heard back from them.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Well, we'll table that to the next court. It's 2 weeks shouldn't make us, if we didn't get into the agreement last year, I thought that was the part of that deal was that it was going to give us another alternative to the state's testing facility.
Correct. And just to give you an update, not only has the costs gone down on the individual cases by a different formula for charging Chambers County, but in addition, the speed with which they were able to test our materials, our samples that we would send them has basically been cut in half from last year at this time. So it will be beneficial. The downfall, like has been pointed out for several years over this particular type of agreement, is that whereas DPS, we never had to pay any money to the Department of Public Safety for their testing, and we would seek reimbursement once our defendants pled guilty or no contest. In this instance, with the interlocal agreement, we would be fronting upfront the cost for their lab services, and then we would be trying to recoup those costs through pleas of guilty and no contest through the courts. So this does have a cost upfront, but it's the same type of consideration as last year, although, like I mentioned, the cost would be going down significantly. But again, this interlocal isn't the funding. This interlocal is just the agreement to use the option, and those funding issues would be a separate discussion.
Thanks, Scott. We're going to table that till the next court. We're down the consent agenda. And I'm not sure what direction the judge went the last time, so we'll start with Commissioner Combs, Precinct 4. Commissioner Precinct 4. You have anything you want to pull from the consent to discuss?
Just one comment. Well, actually, a couple of things. Yes, sir. On
Okay.
the monthly reports, I was rather surprised to see an MOU under monthly reports. Is that, and I guess this can be a question for Scott, I guess that means we're approving that MOU?
Which item you talking about, Billy?
Where are you at, Commissioner?
What number?
Under item number 1, monthly reports, on page 99. There is a memorandum of understanding.
Thank you. That is. Thank you, ma'am.
And like I say, I was just rather surprised to see a memorandum of understanding put in monthly reports.
This isn't
19
something that, it's not something that's been brought to my attention. Page 99, the Department of State Health Services MOU.
That's it.
Hold on a second. This is.
It is surprising.
Commissioner, because this wasn't on my list of things for today, if you could circle back to this in a few minutes and let me review this and pull up where it previously has come across my desk.
Hey, Scott, I know this is Mary Beth thing, and I think she's in the ESD, so I'll ask her.
Okay.
Or we'll let him work on that. Is there anything else, Billy, you want to about?
Yes, actually I did. I wanted to discuss actually on the job descriptions and on payroll. We got in there to approve 6 part-time shelter supervisors. And, you know, I think the judge made it pretty clear that we are not a sheltering county. And we got a lot of employees that are off during these emergencies. I just was rather surprised to see us hiring 6 part-time shelter employees, and be curious what kind of hours and how we would call them up.
I was too, Billy, on that. All I know is that we talked about, there's no money budgeted for that person. And they were talking about using 3 different groups, like our employees.
Right.
And then, there were 3 different groups. So the fact that no money's been budgeted for it, Aaron's back. he might have some comment he wants to make on this thing. On 6 part-time employees on this sheltering group.
Oh, yes, sir, Judge. So these are positions that won't be used all the time. So for instance, like right now, if Hurricane Laura becomes, like it might be, and if we have to shelter people, the process is when there's a hurricane or a disaster, a declared disaster, we set up a special fund for that disaster. And so those positions will be paid out of that fund. And we will expect to get reimbursed for those positions. So there's not a real budget set up for that because they're always going to be changing depending on which disaster. Hopefully we don't have to use those people, but
the thing I noticed about it though, they were talking about doing some training, in different. And so if you set someone up to be part-time, you'd have to have some type of ability to do this training. I mean, they talked about these different things that they might have to be trained on to be that person is what I was getting at.
Hey, Judge, I'm getting Kevin in here real quick. They kind of worked on this process, so they can maybe explain a little more about this training part of it.
Okay.
And to circle back on the MOU that y'all were discussing,
I found what I wrote 2 weeks ago, Aaron, but go ahead and continue.
Well, go ahead. Let's do the training real quick since Kevin's here. Okay.
Yes, sir.
What we're discussing, Kevin, is the part-time shelter in place, part-time people, the 6 of them on the agenda. And that's what we're discussing.
Okay, and so you want to talk about the training part? You want to talk about that?
Well, Aaron said that they're only going to be used during certain emergencies and stuff like that. But I don't know how you address the training and stuff if you're only going to use them part-time.
Okay.
I would think they'd have to be ready to go if they're going to be used for that purpose. They need their training in advance of having a disaster. So
right.
So I don't know how you handle that is what I'm getting at.
Okay, so what we've done, we partnered with the Red Cross. The Red Cross has virtual trainings set up for shelter supervisor and for the rest of the staff once they are identified. So everything is virtual. It's 6 hours for just to begin that first supervisor training. And if, unlike these circumstances, they are able to come out and also train on location. But right now, everything is set up, and they don't even. Normally, you'd have to register. You have the registration process to go through to become a Red Cross volunteer. You don't have to do that since I am the local Red Cross volunteer now. Everybody kind of piggybacks off of me. And once they're identified, they'll be able to go online and go through each one of those courses and become a certified supervisor for that for the shelters.
So Kevin, how do you hire 6 part-time people and get them trained and have them on standby and only use them in emergencies and count that they will be there and not evacuating with their families? I mean, seems like pretty hard.
It is. Yeah, so it is. We have some people who have already agreed or said they wanted to be. There are parts of people we have identified in the past who said they want to be a part of shelter operations. Most of it, like you said, we are evacuation county, so there would be those people who would come back that we're standing by for repatriation to have them actually in the shelters. Of course, what we're trying to do is pinpoint these 6 people. They're 6 because we're doing 12-hour shifts for each supervisor. And then the rest of the crew would be all volunteer staff. And what we want to do is start off with county employees and then work to volunteers and then the Red Cross staff because of our issues with Red Cross in the past. So it's all a volunteer, at least the last 2 tiers of volunteers. The first we're trying to get those county employees who are not essential, as essential staff to kind of come along and help with those shelters. But we do need the supervisors in place, and we need to have them, and that's why it's kind of hard. It's just a hard sell sometimes because people do evacuate, and we're in evacuation county, but we're counting on them to come back in
and that would be their role to help out. So that way we don't put the burden on Red Cross, which has not been there for us in the past.
So why wouldn't we look for some of our employees to be these shelter supervisors?
So I've asked that before, and what I've gotten was if it definitely had to be those non-supervised or those people who are non-essential. I've asked that before because sometimes people say, well, we need our employees back to do our task and not be at the shelters the whole time. So that's the reason why just the supervisor position are non-county employees. Everybody else would be, along with that org chart, would be the shelter staff.
All right, thank you.
Will we fund that? Would we fund that training process with that 6 hours? Would that
Yes,
be
sir.
considered part of their
So the idea would be,
budget?
yeah, so the idea would be they would be activated prior to the form, so they would get that payment. And then the training, of course, they would be, of course, that 6 hours, they would be paid for that training.
Well, if they're county employees though, I mean, would they be doing county time, or would they be doing it on their off, when they're off?
You mean for the supervisor position?
For the training, yeah. I mean,
Just regular training? So yeah, so the regular training would have to, I mean, that's just no different than we have with ICS training that all employees should have also. So that's just gonna come with their regular job. So if they're
Well,
gonna
they already have that. If they're involved in that, they'll already be trained in that. You're doing it repetitive is what I'm getting at.
For which one?
I would, some of that stuff would be repetitive, the training, if they already trained through the county, if they already had the training, that looks like you could forego that extra 6 hours.
Yeah, so the 6 hours, but the 6 hours are only gonna be for those supervisor positions. Each of the other positions has their own specific training. It's not that long. So of course the supervisor positions are gonna have more extensive training.
You have funds available for that?
For the supervisor position?
Well, no, for the training.
For the training?
This is was my old question, was it really wasn't any, Aaron's talking about funding by the disaster, but some of this stuff has to be done prior to disaster, to have them available during a disaster. So there's going to be some funding there, or some way to put some money there for that training to be able to get that and then be ready for the disaster. Because he was talking about setting a budget up when the disaster occurs and then funding them through there, but you still got to have money if you're going to train them prior to the disaster. See what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I understand. I don't know the funding process. That's an Aaron question. I've asked that. And so see where that money comes from.
Well, why don't we, this particular item, why don't we table till next court and see if we can't come up with a way to fund these. I don't think that, I don't disagree that the positions don't need to be there. I just can't figure out how we're gonna pay for it.
Huh?
Okay.
Is that all right, Kevin? Is that all right, Billy? You good with that?
Works for me. We just
We'll bring it back.
6 part-time.
Hopefully we won't have a disaster between now and 2 weeks. And we'll bring it back.
Got one right now, Gary. But
We're in one right now for sure. So that's
well, you'll see, but and I'm retiring. Did you hear I was getting ready?
Well, maybe we can sign you up, Commissioner Nelson. Supervisors. Hey, Commissioner, you know what we can do?
Well, I'm retiring.
Judge Gary, I think what we maybe accommodate that, since there is a, storm out there, if they need to do training right now, Helltarn does have part-time funds available to use, and it's available right now. This started up, so in case something does happen in the next, week, that we're not in a bind.
Oh, we're going to be in a bind.
Right, and I don't want that to happen. So there is part-time money in the health department, and we can tell HR that's what if they need 6 hour training currently now, we can charge it to there, and then when it's full time.
You probably should have talked with the auditor at least where they could sign off on. That's That's the point I'm trying to make. I mean, they didn't approve the, because there was no funding available that they could choose from that they didn't sign off on for realizing. And I guess that's what Billy was concerned with too. I assume that was what he was
Well,
concerned with.
that's a part of it, and I'm just kind of curious how we get those employees and keep them for that, just emergencies only, and why we're not using county employees. Because we got a lot of county employees that go home with pay that, we could utilize in cases like this.
And I'm not object to that. It's just as long as, we don't have the shelter stand up and then all of a sudden the supervisor wants that employee back. So that's the first route I did look at. And of course they would be the other positions would be county employees, but the supervisor position would be more vital. And the others, they can, pick and choose and go back and forth. But the supervisor position has to be, there's only going to be 2 for each shelter. So that way that the other person has the time to kind of recuperate and not be there for 24 hours around the clock. So
I hear you, Kevin, and that makes a lot of sense. I understand, and I'm certain we have those employees, but finding the right one and
right.
Would they be willing and capable to do it? I don't know. So I'm okay with it. I just had those questions.
Gotcha.
Okay, well, we'll leave it back. We'll put it back in there then if you're okay with it, Billy.
All right.
And then if they got to, you're kind of late in the game. You got to train them before tomorrow. You got a busy day.
Hire them first.
Yeah, it happens. Welcome to the it happens.
I think we got something maybe coming tomorrow afternoon that we're going to be concerned about.
We better move on so we can get them trained, huh?
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
All right,
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Uh-huh.
Is there anything else, Billy, you got a problem?
Yeah, unfortunately, we can be quick on these.
Did you want me to go back to monthly?
You want to go back to MOU, Scott?
Sure. And so if you don't mind, we'll go back to that real quickly. I will tell y'all, of course, that I don't have enough time to go looking for work. So payroll changes, job descriptions, monthly reports. I don't parse through those to look for things, but if y'all ever see something, of course, bring it to my attention. I'll be happy to take a look at it before court. This one I just happened to have experience with because 2 weeks ago, I was asked the question of who could sign this agreement, and Mary Beth is there. I'll tell you that I was asked who could sign it. Does it go through Mary Beth? Can Jimmy sign it? Does it need to go through court? And so I gave a breakdown of the rationale on what they put in the agreement as to who has authority to sign it. Without boring you any further with my 2 pages worth of legal back and forth, I did opine that, of course, because under Health and Safety Code 1001-089, Mary Beth could sign that memorandum of understanding. Even though the memorandum of understanding is actually a contract, she is authorized by statute to sign it. And therefore she did sign it. It was entered into, I guess, on the 17th, if I'm looking at this agenda item. And therefore this is basically being accepted into the record. The contract on behalf of the county has been signed and she had the authority to do so.
Thank you, Scott.
You bet.
Thank you, Scott.
What I needed to know. All right, Judge, moving
Yes, sir.
on the minutes from, it would be on page 272. And in there is where we approved the elected officials' salaries. And there was a longevity. And I was just thinking that the longevity pay of 600 was for Commissioner 3, not Commissioner 1. Is that correct?
No, it was Commissioner 1.
It was? Okay. Maybe my memory was failing me then. All right.
Commissioner, it's 4 years. It's 4 years before you qualify for longevity.
Okay, well, I remembered you bringing the subject up and saying.
Yeah, it was for Jimmy. Jimmy missed it. It was gonna be for him.
Well, you're a good man. I thought you were looking out for yourself.
No. I'm taking care of my partner.
There you go. I appreciate that. And the only other thing is on item number 1911. It's got to do with the options for the road and bridge fees from transportation project, and there was nothing checked on which way we wanted to go. The box is just A or B option, and neither one of them were checked. So I don't know, we going with A or we going with B?
Well, I thought it was the same as they were going to keep it the same. You had to vote on this thing every year.
I know, but option A is no change, but the box is not checked. So I assume that's what it was, but I get in trouble when I assume things.
Yeah, I don't know. Aaron, you got a comment?
No, I don't, but I'll check. Give me 2 minutes.
Okay, check on that and we'll check on that for you.
That's all I got, Judge.
Okay. So then we go to Mark. You got anything you want to discuss from the consent agenda?
No, I'm good, Judge.
Good. Commissioner Gore, you got anything you want to discuss?
Yes, sir. Go back to the job description and the payroll changes.
Okay.
The
We're
on
gonna go back to 19.5.
19.5. Let me get back.
Okay.
Okay. I saw where they changed the job description for Sylvia Husband. Okay. And they took out her being with the safety coordinator, which that was part of the job description and part of the discussion when she got the pay raises here a while back. And I see they took that out, but they did not take away any of the pay. Our safety coordinator is in desperate need of assistance now. And I mean, I don't know why they're changing the job description and taking her off of that task when that's what she was there for.
Good question, Jimmy. I agree.
Maybe we need it. Maybe we, and I noticed that too. It almost looked like basically the same pay for the same, I mean, the title on the payroll change form was all the same, but
yeah, I feel that she still needs to be the safety coordinator's assistant because that's what it was designed, that position was designed for.
Aaron, can you get Kat on the phone or not and see if we can discuss that?
While you're doing that, I'm gonna take a quick break, Judge. If we can.
Yeah, we need to take 5, Judge.
Okay, let's it's 11:24. Let's come back at 11:25 now. Let's come back at 11:30.
All right, thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Hey,
okay, let's reconvene back into regular commissioners court at 11:35. And we were talking about payroll changes and job description. I think we're going to take that to executive session. So what else, Jimmy? You got any other items?
yeah, I mean, I would just, if someone can just go over like number 20, if that's already in the required stuff and a change, is that just them notifying us they're going to do it at that 39-253-53 or?
That's a change order.
This wasn't in their original contract to put that casing on that water line.
Okay, I thought
we're under the impression that Aqua was going to do that, and it wasn't part of their bid.
Okay, that's good there.
I'm going to assume that's Corey's.
That's what I'm assuming.
Approved it. Corey's approved it, so I'm going to assume that's why they did it that way.
Okay, what about I got number 21 and 22. If somebody can give me a little bit of clarification on them. The setbacks and the variance request for eliminating a 10-foot maintenance berm and a 6 bottom width of a ditch for the warehouse project off 1405. And then we'll just do that one first. Y'all know about that?
Yeah, I know a little bit about it. If Corey is available, maybe we could get him in. If not, I'll try to explain what I do know about both of them.
I mean, is that going to give us any problems on anything?
Well,
There's Corey right there. He's
What do we need?
On number
item 21.
On item
Talking about the variance in the 10-foot maintenance berm and the 6-foot bottom.
the reason they don't need the maintenance berm on it is because they have paved roads on both sides of it. So they've got access off of the paved roads. So the need for the maintenance, the 10-foot maintenance berm is not there. The maintenance berm, so you have access to clean the ditch.
They have access to the ditch without the berm.
That's correct.
Okay, that's fine. What about number 22? I'm sorry.
So in 22, I question whether or not this even needed to come to the court, just because it's already been approved for the first 2 sections prior to me being in place, but and that was because City of Baytown essentially has services over there. They have they're hooked up to Baytown water, so our side setback is based upon low water pressure throughout the county, and a larger spacing to improve the safety from structures. If you get a structure fire, we'll separate them out a little bit. But with Baytown water pressure being higher than ours, that's not required. So that's not specified in our manual, but because of that, we feel like the 5 foot is appropriate.
Okay,
I can give you some clarification on that though, Corey. The 10-foot does have water, but it's also that we have volunteer firemen. But they're in the ETJ, and you're only required to go through one agency to get your. It's like Legends Bay. Legends Bay is 5 foot.
Well,
ETJ.
Okay, well,
that's what it's about. We tried to get an interlocal agreement with them. We never could get it years ago.
Well, we're working on that now. It's been difficult through COVID, but we're planning on getting a interlocal with Baytown, which will resolve that somewhat. But anyway, I would recommend approval on this.
Okay, but I mean, even at that 5 foot setback, they're not having to use any different type of material, building material for fire retardant, anything like that?
No.
No.
They are though. They do have brick and hardy board.
Okay.
They do, right? That's true.
Okay.
But it's not. Yeah.
I understand. Okay, that's all I had.
All right. Anybody else? Any questions for me?
That you did talk. They question 20 on the change order. I told them that, but I didn't think that was encasing the pipe was included in their bid.
That is correct.
They had a change order.
Right. So we knew that was coming based on the plans originally, but we didn't actually know the lengths because the line was complete to verify prior to the plans being submitted. So that's why it's not an error. We knew that was going to end up having to be kind of inspected in place and then detailed out. That's what's happened. So
Okay, thank you, sir.
all right. Thank you.
Thank you, Corey.
Okay.
Okay.
Besides that one, then Judge, I'm good.
The one that we're going to executive session on?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think we'll if there's no other questions about this, we'll just wait and vote on them when we get out of executive session, since we're going to take that one item to executive session.
Okay.
We're going to go to executive. You're muted, Scott. You got something to say about that?
Not on that particular one. I did want to draw attention to 19.27. I know this is the 4th time this has been on the court agenda. And so
It's been recommended that we pull it.
I was going to recommend that you pull it and discuss it briefly.
Okay, you want to discuss it? I mean,
Yes.
I got down here, pull on it.
All right. So down here under 19.27, again, this is the Windstream VPLS and PRI contract amendment to the 2019 May 16th agreement. Basically, the general concept is appropriate that everybody can agree on. There's still some surplus language that we're trying to clear up. But basically, what I would be asking from y'all is a specific motion to authorize the IT department and myself to negotiate with Windstream on this contract amendment to lower these specific recurring monthly charges from $5,100 to not more than $3,925 per month. and then authorize Judge Sylvia to sign it after we reached that agreement. So, but again, it's just that there's still some surplusage in the contract that we need to take out. And then, of course, the sooner we can reach these terms and agreement, the quicker the county, can save some funds. But
Do you want to do that in form of a motion? Because I mean, you would be changing the changing the agenda item there, because that was recommended we pull it to start with. So.
Oh yeah, sorry. The language I had made this morning to Judge Sylvia and Lauren was pull and discuss. Apologize for my phraseology of using the word pull. I know that means different things.
Well, it sounds like though we kind of we need to vote on it separately if we're going to change the
correct
of the amendment or the
yes
the item.
Yes, Judge, that's my request.
Okay, well we'll take that separately, and then we'll then the other thing, item number 17 is going to be pulled as well. And that's approved amendments to the fire code fee schedule.
I'm sorry, Judge, tabled, if you don't mind.
Well, you said
Table
pulled.
17, right?
I mean,
17.
we're tabling it then. So that's not going to be voted on.
Hey, Scott, what was the numbers you said again? 5,100 and?
Yeah, currently, gentlemen, this is from the 1st July court. There were 10 pages, I believe, in that Commissioner's Court agenda. So it's that same language and that same contract that we've sorted out and gotten the details of these specific contracts, because there's multiple overlapping contracts for multiple services year to year, and getting to the specific ones which were mentioned in that particular this particular agreement. It took a little bit of effort to track down so we could know exactly which ones we were talking about. But again, the numbers were for these services going from $5,100 per month down to $3,925 per month. And just to give you an idea of some of the areas being covered, it's the Winnie Library, the Library Tech Building, JP5 in Wallaceville, JP6, the county courthouse. So it's not every term and price which is being amended at this time, but it is a handful of them. And again, all of those numbers were originally referenced in the July 1st Commissioner's Court agenda.
All right, Judge, if it's okay with you now, I'd like to make a motion on item number 27.
Okay.
Okay, my motion would be to authorize the county judge and the county attorney to negotiate with Windstream, VPLS, and PRI for the contract to get a price from $5,100 reduced down to $3,925.
And give the judge the authority to sign it?
Yes, that would be included in my motion.
Oh, I have a second?
I'll second, Your Honor.
Okay, Commissioner Combs makes a motion, Commissioner Tice seconds it. Scott, is that motion sufficient?
I believe so.
You
Thank you,
need-
Judge.
okay.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, well, let's vote on that since we're right here. We're gonna vote on just 27. The motion that Billy made. All in favor? Any other discussion about it? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, we got that one item done, so we're gonna adjourn from regular Commissioners Court and go to executive session under personnel, section 551.074, to discuss personnel. I don't think the other two, we don't have any items on the other two, do we? Not hearing any, so that's, we are now adjourned from regular session and going into executive session. So you're gonna get in touch, get Austin over here, Aaron, and see if we can't get us. Okay, this is, it's 12:07. This is the regular Commissioners Court adjourned from executive session, and we're still working on the consent agenda. So we got a couple of items that we need to discuss that, on the on the payroll changes, and we are, on page 246. We need to see about, denying that payroll change. And on page, 260, we're going to deny that payroll change. And we're also talking about the job description of page 239 to 243, denying that as well.
That's my motion, Judge.
Okay, Commissioner Gore makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Combs seconds that. That's those three items on the payroll changes that we're denying, and that's what we're voting on right now.
That's a job description as well, Judge.
Right, with the job description and the payroll change form. With the change form, we're denying, and then the job description, we're denying. So those things that we're taking page numbers for this vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Right.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries to deny all that stuff. All right, the other thing, make sure 17 has been tabled. We're not voting on that. And we voted on 27 already. So the other items that we haven't voted on.
Motion for approval, Judge.
Second.
Commissioner Gore makes a motion to approve. Commissioner Combs seconds it. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The consent agenda is done. It is 12:10. Nothing else coming from the Commissioner's Court. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Be safe.
Be safe.
Thank
Hey, if any of you
Everybody be
guys
safe.
need anything, let me know.
Same here, guys.
Was it